We are getting ready to install the OEM exhaust system on our 69.5 A12 car. If you go back to the early seasons of Graveyard Carz, I did an inventory check on this car. We went around it from the very front to the very back, talking about the things that make it a real A12 car, some of the footprints that we needed to record, so for when times like this come and we're putting it back together, we would have that documentation. It's a very unique package car, and it deserves to be done right. So for example, the exhaust system that I put on this Barracuda needs to look, sound, and act right. It doesn't have to be perfect. The Super B, it does have to have that. So one of the things that this car requires, in my mind, and in the mindset of avid A12 followers, is the accuracy and the authenticity of Mopar. So we reached out to ECS. They're the company that make our decal kit. The exhaust system is what I fell in love with when I first saw them. I saw it at SEMA a couple of years ago, and we've had discussions about what's the difference between the real righteous ones and the ones that are fine and they're great and they're affordable in other cases, but if you want a really righteous car, what makes this right? So after learning that, I've decided to use those systems on our cars from here on out. It's a nice looking pipe, right?
Yeah.
The ones we've used in the past, the cold rolled steel, which is the factory ones, they're also a nice looking pipe, right up to the point where you run them a few times and they get wet and they rust.
Yeah.
So this system looks and appears completely OEM from the finish standpoint, but it's actually made of stainless steel. The main thing that I think is so sexy on this system are all these bins, how the shoe has made all of the duplicated exact bins where they're supposed to go. But the interesting part of it is the things they added that are cosmetic so that it would appear OEM. So if you flip it over, first off, you see this seam?
Yeah.
That's a factory weld seam,
Okay.
all the way down the pipe, just like the original cold rolled steel ones. Aluminized ones don't have that.
Huh.
So if you're doing an original one, you definitely want to make sure that you have that seam so it looks right. Now, this is the cool part. This flat spot that you see on both sides, this is where it goes underneath the torsion bar cross member for clearance.
Okay.
Another key thing that you don't see on a lot of systems is this flat spot right here. So you know how the torsion bar comes right here, and on a lot of systems, this comes over, it doesn't have the sink in it, and so it'll hit that. The way the engine works on torque is you put it in gear and you drop the clutch, it wants to walk up on the left, so this will walk right up and smack into the torsion bar. This gives you an extra, probably almost an inch. So that line right there is 100% factory.
That's really nice to have.
Oh, it's great, yeah. It looks right and it actually serves the purpose.
Yeah.
And then here, you see these shoe marks right through here. These are all factory. Even the factory ones have it from clamping it in the machine. The shank down, the really nice collapse shank down right there for the mufflers to go on.
Yeah.
It's not cut or split or, you know,
Reduced
pokey.
down
Yeah,
by...
it's a factory system. It's just beautiful. So, you ready to install a pipe?
Yeah, let's put it in.
Let's do it. Okay. So while we have used in the past good exhaust systems that work great, they're not licensed by Chrysler. They're not so accurate to an original one that you could get a license and put a Pentastar on it. But on a car like that, that's why it's going on that one, and that's what that car deserves.